Hi, how are you? This evening we're going to have a look at some of my favorite photographers, the ones that influence me the most. They they just they just gel with what I love. Um, so we're going to dive right into that on their websites, and we're just going to go through their images, maybe one or two of them at least, and just go from there. That's it. Okay, so bear with me now, and we'll have a look. Okay, well, first up, we have Zach Arias. He is an Atlanta photographer, and he is pretty much one of the most photog- out of all the photographers that I follow and I watch and see their work and things like that and try and learn from them. Zach Arias, I think I relate to the most. He's a family man. He's been around photography for many years. Sometimes it didn't work out for him, and then other times it did. Um, he's fantastic with flash. He really is just a master at it. So let's have a quick look at his personal work. His personal work is pretty amazing, and it's different. Everything that he does is slightly different to the next. Some of it is a little bit outrageous. This one here is quite interesting and lovely. The lips. Um, it's really just amazing. He's done an awful lot of commercial stuff as well. We'll just quickly go back to client work. He runs a fantastic blog. He's on YouTube as well. Sometimes he takes a bit of a sabbatical from YouTube as well, kind of disconnects from the world just before Christmas time, and then comes back a little bit stronger. So there's an awful lot of wonderful work here. But the main thing you will notice in every one of these images is lighting. And for me, that tells me an awful lot about him, and just generally his work and what he loves to do is lighting. So everything there is just beautiful, really well lit. I think this is a Coca-Cola VP or something like that. And he's done a few other things. I think he also does some set photography now for TV as well, so that's wonderful for him. So his blog, real quick, as well, if you're interested, is pretty interesting. He's very humble in what he does. Gives an awful lot of information. It's just fantastic. So he's definitely one to look at if you are interested in flash photography. He also has two DVDs as well, which are excellent. The first one, fantastic. Second one is a little bit of a follow up and a bit of an evolution. You'll have to mind this background noise there. My washing machine is going. So let's move on to the next one. This one is David Hobby. This is his personal blog. It is Hoko 360. Um, it's more of his local area that he now lives in. I think it's Maryland. I'm not exactly sure the full address, but this guy is also a master with lighting. And his original page was strobus.com. We'll just have a quick look into that now. This was originally his first ever blog. He does post to it every so often, not as much now, but this is like a training ground for lighting. They have lighting 1.101. I think it's now up to 1.3 or 1.5. It is pretty incredible. He also has a whole set of DVDs that if you really want to get those, they are a bargain and you will learn an awful lot. They're just here it's updated by their own crew that they have. They have on assignment how they did these, the breakdown of the equipment that they used. They even do some reviews of different equipment and lighting. It's just fantastic. Books as well. That's a must read for flash photography. There's ones here. I think Joe McNally is another one. We'll have a look at him now in a moment. So back to Hoko 360. This is his own. There we go. There's the visual journey of Howard County, Maryland. Obviously, that's in the US. But it is fantastic. Now it hasn't. There's a little bit of updates to it, not all the time, but again, all of his work is really just revolving around fantastic lighting, just perfect every single time. It's wonderful. The next one is, I believe, is Frank Dispenza. Now, Frank Dispenza, let's see if I have his website here. I should have. Frank Dispenza is a photographer. Um, he's a master. He's been around for a very long time. Unfortunately, his website is not very up to date, but he is a fantastic photographer about the kind of vintage photography and classical lighting. It would be his kind of thing. If you even just Google images Frank Dispenza photography, he does an awful lot of training. That's where he mostly focuses on now is the educational webinars and stuff, things like that. It's just outstanding. His work, you learn an awful lot from him. So he's one that I also love to see when I can. I'll have a quick look at his lighting stuff as well. There's an ex-president, Bill Clinton. It's fantastic stuff. Again, it's all about lighting for him. Then you have posing as well. Which way to have the light facing for a female, which way to have the light facing for a male, what kind of light you would use on either one. It's, and then breaking the rules as well. He does that from time to time as well. It's just fantastic. The next one is David Zeiser. He's a wedding photographer, and I've followed David Zeiser for years, and his stuff is always amazing. I don't know what it is, but it just works. The way he lights things, he does work with an assistant an awful lot. It's just amazing. Have a look for yourself. It's fantastic. I think I caught his first training movies and DVDs and things like that. I think I still have them somewhere around the house somewhere. But that's where I learned a lot of my basic lighting from for weddings anyway, was through David Zeiser. Fantastic. So next we will have is Joe McNally. Joe McNally, I think if you use Flash in any way, you have to know about Joe. He is a master. He is pretty much probably the master for lighting. He's been around for a long, long time. He gets to do an awful lot of fun activities as well through that. I think he originally started out in National Geographic, so again, lots of experience. And just by looking at his stuff, his photographs, you can see that it's lighting, composition, everything. It's just perfect. Again, another one he'd be perfect to learn from. Following his blog and stuff like that. He's a very active blog as well. We can have a look at his blog here real quick. Again, it's pretty amazing stuff. Lots of information from him. He also has a DVD and YouTube channel and all that kind of stuff. So well worth the time to subscribing to his stuff. There you go, his RSS and his Pinterest feed as well, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You follow one at least and you're going to get something. You will learn something from him. The next one up is Sue Bryce. Sue Bryce. I love Sue Bryce. Her work is outstanding. Again, she's another one of those photographers that took a very long time to get cemented in the industry and where she is now. She mostly does kind of vintagey kind of portraits and very elaborate dresses and things like that. It's just amazing stuff. Just absolutely amazing. It's not just men and women she photographs as well. Sometimes she photographs teens as well. Lots of stuff here. I'm heavily influenced by Sue Bryce in the last year or so. Fantastic stuff. Absolutely beautiful. The next one will be Tony Corbell. Let's see. Sorry, we're back on. Tony Corbell, another master of lighting. Let's have a quick look at his website. My kids are bashing at the door, well, my youngest one anyway. Won't go asleep. Tony Corbell, he does an awful lot of educational stuff now as well. He's does a few webinars as well. If you catch them, Google them or YouTube his Tony Corbell workshops. You're guaranteed to learn something. They're about an hour long at most. Let's have a look at his blog here. His weekly blog. Let's try that. Okay, not exactly a lot coming up there for his weekly blog. Maybe it's just my internet not loading them up. But he mostly does portraits, but he also does the odd things as well, the odd landscape and things like that. But I mean, he's a true master. He's done pretty much everything there is. As you can see, his stuff is amazing there. You could even just go onto Pinterest or Instagram and you'll see most of the stuff there is just amazing. So anyway, let's move on. Cliff Mountner is another wedding photographer in the US. Most of them are in the US or thereabouts. I do have one or two closer to home photographers in the list, so we'll go through to them now. Cliff Mountner is an amazing photographer. He does use flash. He also uses a lot of natural lighting as well. Just amazing stuff. Every time I've seen his work in his videos, and I think I have a DVD of his somewhere, it's just amazing. Absolutely amazing. Look at this. This is gorgeous. You can't not look at these and go, wow, you know, where can I learn from this guy? Even though these are wedding photographers and I do an awful lot of portraits, I still love to look at these things because the lighting, you learn so much just by looking at this image here. Where is this lighting coming from? It's coming from the door here. It's coming in. Is it natural light? I don't know. Could be flash as well. But mostly that looks like natural light coming in. This one again looks like natural light coming in from a small window. Could be flash, but I think it's natural light. Here again, this I'd say is either flash. It's just because of the bride here is so well lit and everyone else is a little dark. I'm not talking about doing that in Photoshop or in post-processing, but I just think that might be it might be flash. Sometimes he does use flash just to illuminate small pockets of information, like just these people's faces here. It could be flash. I think so. Fantastic. Look at this. This is amazing stuff. So Cliff Mountner is one to definitely follow if you're a wedding photographer. I think so anyway. Even if you're just a photographer in general, just his lighting is just amazing. You'll learn a lot from it just by looking at it and studying the images. The next one is Carl Taylor. He's a British photographer, so a little bit closer to home. He mostly does commercial work, and it's very, very clean. It's very neat. He runs a fantastic educational service as well online. that covers a broad spectrum of genres, from lighting to food photography to portraits to commercial work to advertising, everything. It's just incredible, and he breaks it down for you fairly easy to understand. And he's not a huge gearhead. If you ask him about this camera or that camera, he really just couldn't care less. Whatever camera you have, make it work. So that's Carl Taylor. He also has a fantastic YouTube channel to look into as well. Very, very successful. Very, very successful at what he does. Great team behind him as well. Wonderful. The next one is Jerry Gionis, an Australian photographer, and I think he's living in Las Vegas now. So plenty of high-end clients there, I would say. If you don't know about Jerry Gionis, get to know him. Learn as much as you possibly can. Especially if you're a wedding photographer or even just a portrait photographer, he uses an awful lot of natural light and artificial light, but it's not flash that he uses all the time. He's using these things called the ice lights, or any light in particular. That's one of his trademarks, is using any available light. Doesn't matter what it is, he'll make it work. He is outstanding at what he does, and the way he thinks is just incredible. How he sees light is just amazing. He's an absolute master. I think they even have a DVD, I think, out called The Masters of Photography. Him and 2 or 3 other lads are in that. It's just outstanding. You can't just look at his work and just not think, wow, amazing stuff. He does a lot of workshops and training, and he has a few bits and pieces floating around on YouTube. Definitely worth the to look at. Just fantastic stuff. But again, not just only weddings that he does. Let's quickly have a look back at here, portraits. So, a lot of this is either constant light, maybe from the ice lights or any particular light in general. Look at this. This is crazy. This isn't this image here. I can tell you 100%. Let's go back here. That is not photoshopped. That is actual reflections. That's it. One of these images is probably the correct part of the face, and all these are just reflections. He sees these kinds of things and just works as magic. Amazing stuff. Amazing stuff. Certainly something to be to emulate in some way. So the next one is Damien Lovegrove, another wedding photographer, but based in Britain again. I believe he switched to Fuji in the last couple of years. Again, his stuff is pretty amazing. He does an awful lot of training for photographers these days. So there's photography training, video training, books, blogs. He does write an awful lot of books. You probably come across them in Easons and things like that. So let's have a look at this one. Location portrait training. Again, he will use lighting as well, and natural light as well. So he's one to definitely pay attention to and follow along if you can. I'm not exactly sure if he has everything in there. I just usually just keep an eye on his stuff every so often through his blog. But his books, I think I have 1 or 2 of them anyway, somewhere. Okay, so he's got a few of the app kind of books, the e-books. I had some really old ones. Maybe he's updated since then, but some fantastic stuff there anyway to learn from. So some reasonably priced there as well. For ebooks, I think maybe they're a little bit expensive, but have a look in Eason's anyway. You might get something a little bit more paperback. I like tactile books when I'm reading rather than ebooks. So the next one is Emily London. She's only recently a new addition to my favorite kind of photographers. Again, she's very similar to Sue Bryce. I'm not exactly where she's from. I think she might be an English photographer as well. So fantastic stuff there. Some before, during, and then the final kind of images as well. Fantastic. Very similar to Sue Bryce. If they're not, either Sue Bryce has trained her, or I don't know, maybe they just kind of have very similar to looks. I think they might have. Kind of teamed up for a while there. So there it has there that she's there's a bit of a bio right there. Here it is here. So wonderful photographer. I follow her on Instagram. Is my poison of choice for Emily London. So let's move on there real quick. Anita Sadowska. She's based here in Dublin. Polish photographer, I believe. And again, I follow her on Instagram. Let's see if we can. See if I can maybe reload her page. I don't know why that's not coming. I can't seem to. I hadn't got it wide enough. Okay, so she does an awful lot of stuff there: swimwear, beauty and fashion, model portfolio, mentoring, and things like that. She also runs a very good YouTube channel, so that's where she hangs out an awful lot. Lots of information there as well. If you want something someone a little bit more close to home, she's definitely one to watch for. She uses an awful lot of natural light as well. These I think were taken in London, so little bit different lighting than what we have here in Ireland, which is even more overcast than in England, which is a pity. I'm sure we'll make it work. So fantastic stuff there. The amusements and things like that. Now again, a lot of these kind of things will be photographed with hired models and things like that, as again she does an awful lot of fashion and things like that, so it is not everyday people that you might be photographing, but it's worth a look if you like fashion and swimwear and beauty kind of stuff. It's pretty interesting. Some lovely stuff there, yeah, and even some retouching. I think that's her recent retouching tutorial on YouTube. So the next one is Alex Hutchinson. I think he's also an Irish photographer based here in Ireland, Dublin primarily. He's fairly famous if you haven't heard of him. Does an awful lot of, very similar to Anita, but he also does portraits and things like that. But most of it is fashion or commercial kind of clientele. Wonderful stuff. He does get around a bit as well, so it's definitely one to watch. You know, you can see that he doesn't use an awful lot of lighting. He might use some bounce, or even just natural light as is happening. Fantastic stuff. Lovely. Lots of interesting images there. But again, as you can see, it's very editorial kind of look, maybe commercial magazine kind of style, like Cake magazine or any of the other ones, you know, the kind of fashiony kind of things. So lots of interesting stuff there. The next one is very different, and it's Boudoir. It's from Jennifer Rosenbaum. Now, so be careful where you do look at these things. If you're looking at them work, they might be a little bit hesitant of what you're looking at. You could get yourself into trouble. But fantastic lighting again. Lots of information here as well about herself. She's very female power orientated, family, a mammy, all that kind of stuff. Really, really great stuff. There's some videos there, um, Instagram, that kind of thing, Facebook, Twitter, a whole lot. There's some really, really lovely stuff. So let's go on location, see if we can click on something for on location rather than studio based. Some wonderful pictures here. A lot of this would be genuine people, not just models, but or fitness models, but genuine women. You know, real women. So there's some lovely stuff here. Fantastic, yeah. So the next one will be Sarah Ferreira. She's fairly new as well for me. I love some of her stuff. Again, I follow her on Instagram. Just very kind of similar, very similar to Sue Bryce, but a little bit more sharpish. Not as soft in places. I'm not exactly where Sarah's from, but if you go to her website, you can have a look at her quick bio. There she is. She's born and bred in the UK, so she's a Britain girl. I'm not exactly sure where she's stationed now, but for me, that's not really what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the lighting that she's using, the posing, things like that. One of the biggest tips that you look at for lighting is the eyes. The eyes, you can sometimes tell you what kind of modifier was used, how far it was, you know, all these different kinds of things you can look at. Yeah, and there goes my washing machine in the background, so apologies. The next one up will be another master of photography, Yervant. It's just Yervant, no second name. I believe he's Russian, and he now has a large team of photographers that help him run his business. Again, he's another master of photography. Very, very similar to Jerry Gionis, but yet a little bit different. Kind of fly on the wall reportage kind of style, as well as posing and things like that. Fantastic. Very, very high end as well. Very, very high end. I'm not exactly sure where he's based nowadays, but definitely something to look at. His wedding, maternity and family. So he doesn't just stick to one genre, but Yervant has now become a commercialized name, if you know what I mean. So he could have a few photographers all working under that brand. Again, I follow him on Instagram, and I've even had a few likes back from him on Instagram, which is quite humbling and lovely to feel to get that from him. So there is Yervant there himself. That's a self-portrait there. Some wonderful stuff. And he also does an awful lot of workshops and training for photographers. The next one is Jason Grover. Fairly new as well for me. I follow him on Instagram. Again, it's very commercialized, maybe a lot of beauty portraits and fashion. Again, do be careful where you view some of his images. If you're looking at this kind of stuff in work, you might get a little bit of a frown from your supervisor or boss, someone looking over your shoulder. But again, all his stuff is about lighting. I mean, this lovely lighting that's coming in here, this lighting here, it's absolutely fantastic stuff. So let's see, there's some fitness ones as well and some weddings. We'll go for weddings now in a minute. So again, a lot of physically strong women here. weddings. His wedding work is superb. A lot of kind of mix between documentary and posed lighting as well. Some fantastic stuff here. An awful lot to be learned from, definitely, that's for sure. Just by looking at his images, you'll learn a little bit more about foreground and background placement, getting people interacted. I mean, using bottom the bottom quadrant for portraits and having a lot of kind of empty space at the top here. That's a very interesting and strong posed photograph. A lot of rules of thirds going on and things like that. So there is an awful lot to learn from him. Okay, next we're going to have a look at is Tatiana Lumiere. Very similar to Sue Bryce again. I think she's got music going on, so I don't know where the mute button is for that. That's one of my pet hates is music going on in the background. So let's have a look here. We'll have a quick look at her blog instead. Some fantastic work there. So what I'll do is I'll just zoom in a little bit and we can get a little bit of a look. Fantastic stuff. Lots of information here as well for clients as well as for her clients as well as just information for photographers. You could take this and get some ideas and run with that yourself. Fantastic stuff about using, say, strapless bras and things like that, especially if you photograph women. She mostly will photograph women anyway. Some fantastic dresses there too as well. So lots to learn from Tatiana. Let's have a look at her store. Actually, I haven't had a look at her store. We'll quickly go in, take a sip of my tea. Lots of Lightroom presets there. Generally, I don't buy any more Lightroom presets. I just make them now myself. There's some Photoshop actions there. Lots of stuff here for photographers. That's if you want to go the preset route, or you can spend a bit of time in learning it yourself on YouTube, or from me even. I might do something like that later on. Okay, the last one is Jason Bell, who is a commercial photographer again. He does an awful lot of stuff for, if you haven't seen any of the covers for Vanity Fair, for Marvel, things like that. He's even photographed Benedict Cumberbatch, which I'm jealous of. I would have loved to photograph him. That is the guy that plays Sherlock Holmes in the TV series Sherlock. He also was a baddie in Star Trek. Let's see, some of his stuff is pretty amazing. He will use a bit of everything. He'll use natural light, or he will use flash. Doesn't really matter what it is, he will make it work. Again, he's a British photographer, I think, but he travels an awful lot around the world. This guy is very, very familiar. I think I know exactly where he's from. He's one of the Harry Potter movies. Beasts and Where to Find Them, Strange Beasts, Wonderful Beasts, or Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That's what it is. We all know this face here. Another actor. So lots of stuff here. Fantastic. Look at this. There's a mixture of lighting going on here. Using maybe a street light or probably a flash outside with a red gel on it, just to give a bit of a story to it. Fantastic. Ewan McGregor, isn't it? Yeah, Ewan McGregor. So lots and lots of information. Let's go back here. Go back one more. This is fantastic. So natural light here. This could be also a flash put up there with a gel inside to simulate a light. I've done that myself with a lamp. So lots of wonderful stuff. Again, I follow him on Instagram. study the images quite well. This is gorgeous here. Fantastic stuff. Very, very storyboard kind of way of thinking, I think, for him. He looks at everything and makes a storyboard out of it. John Malkovich. That's pretty incredible. Look at that, leading lines and things like that. It's just amazing stuff. Lots and lots to learn again from Jason Bell. So that is pretty much it. That is it. That is a couple of my favorite photographers. I do have a few Facebook favorite photographers as well. I didn't get to cover them here tonight, but maybe I'll do that another day. So I will try and do that. Now, some other photographers that I do enjoy looking at their work, they don't have a website. They only do Facebook or Instagram. That's just the way they do. They prefer it that way. Oh yeah. So that's it for tonight. I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. I'm going to go and check my Instagram feed now because I want to have a look more at some of the stuff that I've just showed you. So that's it for tonight. Maybe again, join me again soon, and I don't know what my next topic will be, but I'll think of something and I'll share that with you shortly. Thanks.